Hello, folks. This is Lesson 4, Biology, Tolbert's class, Lesson 4. We've been talking about the outside of the cell, which is called a lipid bilayer, or the cell membrane. It's made by these fancy little guys here called phospholipids. Phospholipids have a hydrophilic head, which means they love the water, and a hydrophobic tail, which means they hate the water. Okay? The inside of the cell is bathed in an aqueous or watery environment, and then it's surrounded by water molecules inside and out. And for this reason, the cell membrane is made of two layers because there's water on the inside and water on the outside. So we've got to protect ourselves from both sides. Let's get more into it on this lipid bilayer. What you see here in this picture is a lipid bilayer. You've got the phosphate heads and the lipid tails. Lipids, once again, are fats. It's called the lipid bilayer. The heads face the watery fluids inside and outside the cell, and the tails kind of sandwich some other stuff that's going to be going on here. We'll talk about this space a lot when we talk about photosynthesis. Then you have these special doorways or proteins or channels, if you will. There's a variety of protein molecules embedded in the lipid bilayer. Some proteins are attached to the surface of the cell membrane, while others are peripheral. Peripheral means outside. So like peripheral vision means the outskirts, the outside of your vision. These are the outside of these proteins that tend to be doorways that water can travel through a lot. We also have some ones that are inside or internal or integral proteins. And these ones here are some of them go just to the inside and some of them go all the way through. So some integral proteins extend across the entire cell membrane, are exposed to both the inside and the exterior environment, while others only to the inside. Think of it as some of these doorways are kind of like closets. In closets inside of your house, they only extend to that specific hallway, into that specific space, but they don't extend to other places. Kind of what it looks like. There are many kinds of proteins and membranes that help move into and out of the cell. Some integral proteins form channels or the pores, like I call them doorways, that which certain substances can pass, like water. Other proteins bind to the substance to move it from one side to the other. So when they bind to it, that is called facilitated. So that means that binding is facilitating or to helping. Now, these are types of movement that do not require energy. Integral proteins exposed to the cell's external environment often have like carbohydrates and other things like flags sticking out of them, like identification badges that allow cells to recognize each other. And it's also the site for viruses or chemical messages like hormones can attach. Because water is fluid, water moves around a lot, so does the cell wall, the cell membrane, The cell membrane is fluid. The cell membrane changes continuously. Membranes are fluid and have the consistency of vegetable oil. Lipids and proteins of the membrane are always in motion. They're always adrift. These patterns that can start to emerge are called mosaics. That's why they tend to call kind of what the cell looks like on the outside fluid, because it moves a lot and it's got patterns, or mosaics, fluid mosaic model. And that's the end of the notes for this particular session.